All right, and now we're on to green cards, which is James's favorite color because he's got James's jungle. So let's talk about the Crimson Vow green cards here.
All right, so first up in green, we have Ascendant Pack Leader. It is 1 green for a 2/1 wolf creature that says Ascendant Pack Leader enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if you control a permanent with mana value 4 or greater. And then it also has, whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on Ascendant Pack Leader. That seems really good in a big deck.
Yeah, it seems really good, even in Commander if you're playing a 1/1 counter deck, because for 1 mana it's a 2/1, and then if you play something big, you get a counter on it. If you have something big out already, like it's not the beginning of the game, you get a counter on it. And then worst case, you don't put any counters on it, but you have other cards that put counter on it.
Yeah,
seems good.
I could definitely see it in some kind of creature token deck for sure, especially in Commander, because you're going to play stuff that costs 4 or greater. I mean, it's going to happen.
Next card is another wolf. We got Cemetery Prowler. It's 1 green, so 3 mana for a 3/4 wolf with vigilance. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you exile a card from a graveyard. And then spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card type they share with cards exiled with them. So first time you attack, you exile something, say it's a creature, all your creatures cost 1 less. Next time, say it's an artifact, all your artifacts cost 1 less. But if it's an artifact creature, it costs 2 less.
That's really interesting. So this kind of reminds me of like the Deathrite Shaman flavor a little bit.
Yeah, we're just exiling stuff
with the types. But with that, it was each type did something different, whereas in this case, it costs less to cast. So
yeah,
definitely interesting, especially with the multi card types. That's kind of cool. So yeah, it kind of stacks.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be very good in especially in standard. Like you're just gonna exile a creature, and all your wolves are gonna cost less.
Yeah, I mean, mana value is always good. So I could, and 3 for a 3/4 vigilance by itself is honestly pretty nice. So pretty good value for the card. And yeah, nice effect for sure. Next up, we have Cultivator Colossus. It is 4 green. 4 green. So 7 total for a star plant beast creature that has trample, and it says Cultivator Colossus power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. And then it has, when Cultivator Colossus enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, so this is not that good in like a limited format because you're probably going to hit maybe 1 land if you're lucky. And it's going to be, but it's still going to be 8 with trample. But in Commander, this is just busted. Like this card's pre-selling for like $20 right now because with Abundance, sure. If you have Abundance out, you get, instead of drawing, you get to choose land. So you could play every land in your deck with this card if you have Abundance out.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can always just choose land.
Yeah, because you go land, and you literally play every land from your deck into play and get infinite landfall triggers.
Yeah. In a landfall deck, it's just insanity.
Or just, play 30 lands and then you have a 30/30 for 7.
That also seems very good. With trample, so they die.
Yeah, so it's super, super good in Commander. You're probably going to see this around a lot in Commander.
Yeah, this seems like a very good green card for a Commander for sure. Pretty big for Standard. I mean, maybe a bomb, but I don't know. Definitely good in the older sets, though.
Next, we got Digup, which is 1 green for a sorcery. It says search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. But it has a cleave cost for 1 colorless, black, green, so 4 mana, which then you get to search for any card and put it into your hand, then shuffle.
So 4 to basically tutor for anything.
Yeah, so for 4 mana, it's a diabolic tutor, literally the same card.
Yeah.
Same cost even. And then for 1 mana, you can get a land.
Right. It just mixes in the green color, basically, is the only difference.
Right.
So that's fine. I mean, definitely good for, land fetch, I guess. Just another land fetch for 1. So it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, I think if you run Diabolic Tutor in a green-black commander deck, you might as well replace it with this, because then you have the option to spend only 1 mana for a land instead of
Right. Or play both if you want more tutors.
or playing the both if you want more tutors.
So yeah, versatile. It's always good. Next up, we have Glorious Sunrise. It is 3 green for an enchantment that has, at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. So you can choose creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample to end of turn, or target land gains tap, add 3 greens until end of turn, or draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater, or you gain 3 life.
Yeah, so this enchantment is got a lot of different modes on it, but you get it every single turn. So obviously, you're going to the first turn you play this, you're going to play this in your pre-combat main phase, so you can get it right away. In the limited format, this card is a bomb. It's value city. Like every game that I've gotten this out, I have won.
I can see that.
Just being able to give your creature, the modes that I tend to use most is give all your creatures 1/1 trample if you have a lot of dudes out. Or if you have 1 creature power 3 greater and you need cards, just drawing a card every turn is nice. And then if you can't do either of those, you usually gain 3 life. The mana accelerant, when you already have 5, like, okay, you can add something for 8 maybe, or 7, but like it's not a huge deal.
If you're trying to play that freaking colossus earlier, sure, you know.
Yeah.
But when you have 5 mana, you probably don't need land like that. But who knows? Maybe you're trying to play bombs. But yeah, anytime that something pumps creatures and gives trample is very nice, for sure.
This would be very good in your token deck, because just every combat, they have trample in 1/1.
Exactly, and there's not many cards that I have in that deck that actually give trample. I think there's only maybe 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. So yeah, that'd be a nice addition for sure.
So next we have Hamlet Vanguard, which is 2 and a green for a 1/1 human warrior that has ward 2. So if an opponent tries to target, they have to pay an extra 2 or it's countered. And then when it enters the battlefield, it enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it for each other non-token human you control. So this is very good in a human tribal deck.
Yeah, nice tribal card for sure. Have we seen much human stuff for tribal in the past? Because I know allies was a big thing, but I don't know if it was humans.
Yeah, there's some. Humans is a deck in Vintage right now.
Okay, so way back.
Yeah, other than that, you could do it in Commander. There's a lot of stuff in this set that works well with humans, and there's some in the last couple sets. I think if you do 5-color humans is the most common, because then you could like do any human from anywhere, and most of the payoffs are in like 1 or 2 or 3, like they're in different colors, so you almost have to play 5 colors to make it really good. But in this set, you could probably do green-white humans.
Okay, interesting. And I see the next one we're going to read is also a human, so I guess it could probably go with it. So our next card is Hiveheart Shaman. It is 3 green for a 3/5 human shaman creature that has, whenever Hiveheart Shaman attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card that doesn't share a land type with a land you control. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Then it also has 5 green, so you pay 5 green to create a 1/1 green insect creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Activate only as a sorcery. All right, so this is definitely for a 5-color deck.
Yeah, so if you're playing more than 2 colors, usually, well, even more than 1, you're going to search for one you don't have out, right? So if you have only forests, you're going to get your second color. Most times, if you're playing 5 colors, you're going to have at least 1 defined. So that's why it's really good in 5 colors. But even like draft, if like you can splash a 3rd color land just so that you could pay 6 to make 4/4s, like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely not bad. That second ability definitely not good in like a mono or maybe dual color deck.
Yeah, I mean, because again, it's worse. Say you play this in a single color deck, you're playing 4 mana for a 3/5. You're not going to get a land, so it's just 4 for a 3/5. That's pay 6, make a 2/2. That's not that great.
That's not great at all.
So yeah, you're going to want at least 3 colors in your deck, I think, before you look at playing this.
Definitely. Definitely. In the right scenario, it's good, but definitely not in a mono deck.
Next time we got Hallowing Moon. It's 2 and a green for an enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target wolf or werewolf you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And then the second ability is whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, create a 2/2 wolf creature token.
So this is a nice wolf tribal card right here.
Yeah, and in the last set, we actually got the first ever werewolf commander card. So if you're playing that deck, this will definitely go in it. Yeah.
Nice. I'd love to see some werewolves playing commander.
Yeah.
And especially since we have plenty now between the old Innistrad and all the other variations we've had.
Yeah. The only thing is if you play the old ones and the new ones, you have to remember how the new ones affect day night and the old ones do not, so they'll be flipped at different times. So you have to make sure you remember how each one works.
I think it'd be cool to see though, for sure. And something like this definitely empowers that, because that's a lot of value. Like whenever they cast a spell, or no, it's their second spell. That's what it is. Okay, so that's still pretty good, especially if you're in a commander, match, say with like 4 people. You're almost guaranteed to get a 2/2, like 3 2/2s every turn, basically.
Well, they have to play 2 spells though, right? So I mean, I guess if you get this out on turn 3, yeah, you're probably going to get a lot of 2/2s.
It's probably going to happen.
If it's
people
later
are probably
in the game,
cast 2.
If it's later in the game, people are probably going to play one big thing, and then you won't get it. But
right, yeah. I could see it being good though, for sure. All right. What's next? I got to scroll way down.
It's Splendid Reclamation. You see it?
Finally. Scroll down a few rows there. So next we have Splendid Reclamation. It is 3 green for a sorcery. Then it says return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
So really, unless you're playing a deck that plays Crucible of Worlds or something, or has some combo with this, I don't see you playing it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Like, unless you're playing against a big land destruction deck for some reason. Like, yeah, this is an extremely fringe case for sure.
So that's all for green. What do you think about green in general?
Green has some nice stuff. I don't think it's as powerful as white or blue was, but it's. I think it's definitely on par with like red for sure. Has a couple nice bombs, some nice tribal stuff, so it'll be fun to see for sure.
Yeah, I'm assuming the best card is the Cultivator Colossus.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
That's
easy.
that's the only one out of these that I really am like I should pick that up for my commander deck.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's gonna be played 100%. All right, so now multicolored, Corey.
Yeah, so on the multicolor, the first card we got is Anji, Maid of Dishonor, which is 2 black and a red for a 4/5 legendary creature vampire. So whenever Anji, Maid of Dishonor, and or one or more other vampires enter the battlefield in your control, you create a blood token. This ability triggers only once each turn. And then it has pay 2 mana, sacrifice another creature or a blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life.
All right, so the vampire commander deck, anybody?
Yeah, this set is filled with vampires. If you have an old Edgar deck, this might go in there. So if you have a Rakdos sacrifice deck, if you need another sack outlet, you could put this in there. Because like even if you don't have vampires, you can sack any creature to drain them. So
yeah. I mean, and there's tons of sack outlets. Like that's not hard to find in Commander. So I could definitely see this being played in some kind of Rakdos, like, destroy you deck. And also great with the current vampire, tribe as well that's going on in Standard. Next up, we have Eruth, Tormented Prophet. It is 1 blue-red for a 2/4 legendary human wizard creature that has, if you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library instead. You may play those cards this turn. So basically, extra card draw.
Yeah, the only downside is you can't. You don't ever draw. So instead of drawing, you exile 2 cards and you may play them. But so if you tap out to draw cards, you're not going to draw. You're just going to exile cards. So you're going to only want to do this when you have excess mana to cast those cards. But you are looking at more cards. So I think this as a commander would be really fun because you can wheel or something, and you're going to look at 14.
Oh, you're going to be looking at so many.
And you're going to be like, what's the best card that I want to play?
Just look for that combo piece. Whatever it is that you need to win the game.
It seems very, very fun to play. I don't know how powerful it's going to be until I play against it, but
I feel like in the right circumstance it'd be very good, especially in Commander for sure. Standard, maybe, but you generally don't have that much mana to work with. So.
Next, we got Growl the Omnivore, 2 green-blue for a 3/3 legendary creature frog that says whenever a frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, exile it with a croak counter on it. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards you wanted to exile with croak counters on them.
Interesting. Okay.
So as a commander, this seems really busted because the croak counters stay there, so you can just replay him to cast it again. As a one-of in a deck, if he dies, you can't ever cast those exiled cards anymore.
Right. That would not be great.
Also, if for some reason you want to play Frog Tribal, here's your commander.
Yep. If you're looking for that outlet. Next up, we have Halana and Elena Partners. It is 2 red-green for a 2/3 legendary human ranger creature that has first strike and reach. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is Halana and Elena's power. That creature gains haste until end of turn.
So this seems slower than some other cards we've seen, but it's better. But if it's better than what's that? The mono green one that does the same thing when it attacks.
Yeah.
So it's better than that because it gains haste. So you could throw a creature out and then put a minimum you're going to put 2/1 counters on something and then give something haste.
Yeah. So
and you don't even have to attack with this. It's just the beginning of combat.
Yeah, which is really nice.
You don't have to attack with it either. You can just stack 1/1 counters on stuff. But
yeah. I mean, a lot of times this is usually some kind of triggered or activated ability or something like that. The fact that it's literally just a trigger at the beginning of combat, that's nice. So you don't even have to worry about it dying. You can just keep doing it until they have a kill spell or something. Definitely nice for an aggro deck that's growl for sure.
Next up, we got Kaya, Geist Hunter. It's 1 white-black for a legendary planeswalker, Kaya. So it comes in with 3 loyalty counters. And then it has +1. Creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn, and put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature token you control. And then -2 until end of turn. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many are created instead. And -6, exile all cards from all graveyards and create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying for each card exiled this way. So outside of a token deck, this seems really bad.
Yeah, this is only good for a token deck. Very interesting colors for this too.
Yeah, because it's black and white. I don't know how many black-white token decks there are, but
yeah, Orzhov is you'd think there'd at least. You think there'd at least be green somewhere in the color identity, because this is a very green-like, especially that's literally doubling season is the -2, or the trigger for doubling season.
Right. I mean, white has that too.
I guess it does.
Procession or whatever, I think does that.
So okay, that's fair, but yeah, just the fact that green is missing is interesting. So yeah, it's. If you have some kind of Orzhov token deck, this is your card, basically.
You could probably get away with putting it in like Edgar, because every time you make a vampire, you could then give it death touch and a 1/1 counter, or make two vampires when you cast something.
Yeah, that would be about it, though, I think.
Right.
All right. Next up, we have yet another Odric. This is Odric Bloodcurst, who is 1 red white for a 3/3 legendary vampire soldier creature that has, when Odric Bloodcurst enters the battlefield, create X blood tokens, or X is the number of abilities from among flying, first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, and vigilance found among creatures you control. That's like literally all the keywords, pretty much.
Yeah, other than like skulk.
Yeah, like the random ones from like a specific set.
It's interesting that Odric got turned into a vampire, because he's a vampire now.
That's kind of cool.
Bloodcurst. The ability, I mean, other than like a keyword matters deck, I mean, there was that commander before, but I don't know if that commander even had red in it, so I don't know.
I don't think it did, that I remember.
I mean, so like at best, like if you're just playing this in a red-white deck, you're probably going to be able to get flying, first strike, double strike out. So you get 3 or 4 off of this.
You probably get at least a couple for sure.
But I don't know, like if blood tokens aren't even that good. So like,
yeah, I mean, obviously we won't really know until we really play with the set, but and it's only an ETB, so it's only a one-time trigger too.
Right.
So you got to make it count.
Most time, it's 3 for a 3/3 vampire soldier.
Right. So I mean, if that's what you're looking for, I mean, it's nice stats, I guess, but that's about it.
Next, we got oldruthstein. It's 1, a black and a green for a legendary creature, human peasant. It's a 1/4. When oldruthstein enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your upkeep, mill a card. If a land card is milled this way, create a treasure token. If a creature card is milled this way, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. If a non-creature, non-land card is milled this way, create a blood token.
So basically, you're milling cards for resources here.
Yeah, the only downside is that this effect only triggers off of his milling. So you can't mill yourself with other cards to get this. You only get it the one time every turn.
Yep, which definitely makes it far less busted.
Yeah, it definitely hinders it in a way, but it's still value. I think this should be more likely to go in the 99 of a self-mill deck than it would.
For sure. Yeah, this would go into that, like, find that random card to win if you have no cards, whatever that blue deck is that Jake plays. I could see that being in there. That'd be, or actually that wouldn't even work because that's not even blue.
Right.
I had to go on something else. But yeah, interesting card. I'm not exactly sure what it would be played in, though.
Probably like Sidisi self-mill or something. Actually, I don't even know if Sidisi is that green. I think green? It is.
I'm not sure. Let's look at the card.
Anyway, some sort of self-mill deck. Yeah, not that great of a card.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I don't see the value behind it really. Next up, we have Olivia Crimson Bride. Here she is. 4 black red for a 3/4 legendary vampire noble creature. She has flying and haste. Also, whenever Olivia Crimson Bride attacks, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking. It gains when you don't control a legendary vampire, exile this creature. So basically, as long as she's in play, you have an army.
Or if you just bring back a legendary vampire.
Or any, it could be more than one, I guess, yeah.
Then it would die until itself is dead.
Kind of a high cost, but definitely nice effect. And we're going to pause here for a second.
Sorry, I got interrupted.
That's okay. All right.
So yeah, this is really busted, especially when attacking. Like attack triggers. The reason it has haste is so you can do it right away and just play a bomb vampire. Like this is very good card.
This is the vampire basically of the set. So I mean, we're expecting it to be good.
Next, we got Taurens, Fist of the Angels. It is 1 green white for a 2/2 human cleric legendary creature with training. And whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 green and white human soldier creature token that also has training.
That's really good in a Selesnya token deck, like my commander deck.
Yeah, so you make a bunch of tokens with training and then attack with 1/3/3, and you're going to give them all 1/1 counters.
Yeah, that seems very good. That's explosive as hell.
Yes, very good card.
Yep, even in standard, I could see this being very good. Just literally any creature-based deck.
Now we got just a couple of artifact cards. Oh,
yep,
wait, what do we think about multicolored in general here?
A lot of these legendary creatures are kind of lackluster, honestly. I mean, there's a couple pretty busted ones, but outside of like Olivia and like this, the Taurens Fist of Angels card, like the rest of these are kind of eh.
Yeah, they all seem like they could be very fun commanders if you don't want something with a super high power level. Obviously, the blue-red one can still be very good, and same with the frog. But like, if you have a deck that everyone's complaining about you just winning all the time, try making a deck with one of these cards, and even if you build it to your best, it's probably going to be like a power level 8.
Right, and it should still be fun to play for sure because all these seem real fun and interesting. They're just not busted per se, except for a couple. So now moving on to, we have a couple artifacts here. First up, we have Dollhouse of Horrors. It is a 5-cost artifact that has pay 1 and tap it. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of the exile creature card, except it's a 0/0 construct artifact in addition to its other types, and also has this creature gets +1/+1 for each construct you control. It gains haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery.
Yeah, so if you have a deck where you're making a lot of artifact constructs anyway, seems like you could play it in there. It's pretty good in limited because if you can activate it like 3 times, you're going to get, +3/+3.
Sure. Definitely good for like if you have like some kind of like a Thopter factory or something like that. I don't know if those are constructs, but something that makes constructs.
Right. Or changeling tribal deck, you would put this in.
Yeah, definitely. Because then it just gets huge.
The next artifact we got is Investigator's Journal. Costs 2 for an artifact clue. Get a clue. Investigator's Journal enters the battlefield with the number of suspect counters on it equal to the greatest number of creatures a player controls. And it has pay 2 tap, remove a suspect counter from it, draw a card, and pay 2 sacrifice it, draw a card.
So just some quick card draw, basically.
Yeah, I think if you're in a deck like mono white that doesn't have a ton of card draw options, this is pretty good.
Yeah, especially going against like a big creature deck, you can get a whole lot of counters on this and draw some cards.
Yeah, the only downside is you have to tap it, so you can only probably only draw once a round. But I mean, otherwise, but being able to sack it if you needed another card in dire straits, or if you just use up all the counters, then you can sack it and get another card.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So that's it for the artifacts. Just kind of some basic stuff. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. Then we're on to lands.
All right. So lands, it looks like we have... We'll start off with, there's a couple of kind of dual-ish lands here first. First we have Deathcap Glade. That is a black and green dual land that has tap, add black or green. And then it has Deathcap Glade enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands.
Yeah, so we have a whole series here that are the opposite of the ones that came in tapped unless you had less than two.
Yeah.
Or two or less, and now we have two or more. So these are better for commander, I feel, because most of the time if you have these in the first two turns of the game, you don't really care if they come in tap probably. And if you draw it later, you can play it right away as a dual land.
Or you have lands that you'd rather play, You probably have better options.
So then we have the black-green one, like you said. Then we have Dream Brook Cascade, it's green-blue, Shattered Sanctum, white-black, Storm-Carved Coast, blue-red, and Sundown Pass, red-white.
Yep. So those are our duels for this set. And then lastly, we have Voldaren Estate. It is a non-basic land that has tap, add a waste. It also has tap, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a vampire spell. And lastly, it has tap 5 and tap it, create a blood token. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each vampire you control.
So this is going in every vampire deck.
Vampire land. Yep. Definitely. Which, yeah.
What do you think about these? What do you think about these lands?
The dual lands are really nice. Definitely.
Yeah, I think the dual lands we played a lot in Commander.
Yeah, these are. I mean, the aggro lands that came out in, I think it was Scars of Mirrodin, if I remember right, where there was 2 or less lands you controlled. It was really easy to whiff on those. So these, I feel like, are a lot more better chance that you'll be able to play at the turn you get it.
Right, and Voldaren Estate, obviously going in every vampire deck. I really want the Buy a Box promo one, which is the Dracula series one.
Ooh,
that is,
nice.
It's Dracula's castle.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
And then, so lastly here, there, Evolving Wilds was reprinted again, which is our typical cantrip land, basically. And then we have what are a bunch of kind of monochrome looking full art lands, which I think look kind of cool. These are
yeah, I do like these lands. They did the same thing in the last one, Midnight Hunt. The monochrome lands, they look pretty cool.
Now we got cool art. Yep.
Now we're going to go into the cards that are going to require a lot of reading, the double-faced cards. So first we got Faithbound Judge, which is 1 colorless, so 1 white for a 4/4 spirit soldier creature that has defender, flying, and vigilance. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if Faithbound Judge has 2 or fewer judgment counters on it, put a judgment counter on it. And as long as it has 3 or more judgment counters on it, it can attack as though it didn't have defender. And then when it dies, so from the graveyard, you can disturb it for 7, which means you cast it from the graveyard for the other side. And the other side is an enchantment or a curse where you enchant a player. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put a judgment counter on it. And then if there are 3 or more judgment counters on it, the enchanted player loses the game. And if it would be put into a grave from anywhere, exile instead.
Huh. Very interesting. So a cursed creature card, basically.
Yeah, so most of these, there's a whole series of them that are like the Disturbed, it just comes back as an enchantment. So basically you have a 4/4 flying vigilance that's slowly with defender for 3 mana in 3 turns to be able to attack. And if they kill it for 7, you can enchant it to somebody and they have 3 turns to get rid of this, so they just lose the game.
Yeah, so pretty decent value. It does kind of have a timer on it, but if they can't react to it, you're set. Honestly, I think this is pretty nice. Good value.
I think it's a pretty good card. Tempo. I mean, if you have a spirit deck or a soldier deck, you're probably putting it in there anyway.
Or even a curse deck, because it does count as a curse too on the backside. So this is like the definition of a tempo card, pretty much. Like, if they can't deal with it, they're pretty screwed. Next up, we have Catilda Dawnheart Martyr. That is 1 white for a star legendary spirit warlock creature. with a lot of keywords. It has flying, lifelink, protection from vampires. It also has Catilda Dawnheart Martyr's power and toughness are each equal to the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. And then it has Disturb 5, which we'll flip it over to the other side. That turns it into a legendary enchantment aura. That's an enchant creature that has enchanted creature, has flying, lifelink, and protection from vampires, and it gets +X, where X is the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. And then if Catilda's Rising Dawn would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So this is great for a Spirit Tribal deck.
Yeah, very good in Spirit Tribal or an enchantment deck. The pro vampires, I mean, unless you know somebody with a vampire deck, probably not going to play it that much. But it's 3. It's 3 mana only. And it disturbs out of the graveyard for 5, and then gives something pro vampires flying and lifelink. And a buff.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Nice value card. And I mean, obviously good in the meta for standard, because I mean, I'm sure we'll be seeing vampire decks, but outside of that doesn't matter as much. But the other keywords are really nice.
Yeah, I mean, so if you play this even on turn 3, and if you have nothing else, it's still a 1/1 flying lifelink.
Yeah, it's not bad.
All right, next we got Wedding Announcement, which is 2 and a white for an enchantment. It says the beginning of your end step, put an invitation counter on Wedding Announcement. If you attacked with 2 or more creatures this turn, draw a card. Otherwise, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Then, if Wedding Announcement has 3 or more invitation counters on it, transform it. And it transforms into Wedding Festivity, which is an anthem where all your creatures get +1/+1.
Nice. So, let's see. How do you flip it? It's if you have 3...
So three turns, basically.
Oh, so, okay, you attack with 2 or more creatures. Okay.
So at your end step, you put a counter on it no matter what. And then if you attack with 2 more creatures, you'll draw a card. But if you didn't, you get a 1. You make a 1.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
So no matter what, you're going to get a counter on it. And then you're either going to get a 1/1 token or draw a card out of it. So, and then in 3 turns, it'll flip into the anthem where all your creatures get +1/+1.
So no matter what, you're getting value out of this. So that's nice. And then the anthem, of course, is fantastic. That's always... And it's a white one.
And it's white, and it's a possibility to draw some cards in white.
Yep. Again, white card draw, pretty rare. Very nice. Very cheap, too. Only 3, so you don't have to pay very much for it either. That's a pretty nice card, especially in that color. Next up, we have Jacob Hauken Inspector. It is 1 blue for a 0/2 legendary human advisor creature that has tap it, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand face down. You may look at that card for as long as it remains exiled. You may pay 4 blue. If you do, transform Jacob Hauken Inspector. And then he transforms into Hauken's Insight, which is a legendary enchantment that has at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library face down. You may look at that card for as long as it remains exiled. It also has, once during each of your turns, you may play a land or cast a spell from among the cards exiled with the permanent, or with this permanent, without paying its mana cost.
Yeah, seems very, very good. It's basically a looter from your hand under this, and then once you have the 6 mana to transform it while you loot, you can then start casting a card for free every single turn.
Yeah, seems very good. Like, oh yeah, let me cast my Omniscience for free, then everything's free. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, and the fact that you get to pick, like you get to draw a card, and then you pick the best, like the best card in your hand. You're gonna stick under this. Like, yeah, I just hope they don't kill this.
Let me just cast Draco for free. Oh, good. Let me just cast, freaking Ugin or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's nice. This is busted.
It's super good, and it's only 2 mana. It's like, and then
It's 2 freaking mana. What the hell? Like, yeah, and six for that ability is very good.
All right, and then next we got Mirror Hall Mimic, blue and 3 for a 0/0 creature spirit. You may have Mirror Hall Mimic enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield for its spirit in addition to its other types. So 4 mana clone, and then it has Disturb from the graveyard for 3 blue, so 5 mana. For enchant creature, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted creature, except for it's a spirit in addition to its other types. And then if this would be put in the graveyard, exile it.
Right. So I believe clone did cost 4, if I remember right. So it's the same casting cost.
Yeah. So the front side is basically clone. But the front side is not great. The Disturb is the awesome part because you get a copy every single upkeep of whatever you enchant.
Yes, for literally 1 more mana.
Yeah, so this is one of those cards you're going to want to just loot into your graveyard and then play it for 5.
Yeah, like that's really good. This will work in almost anything, honestly, especially in a looter deck. Next up, we have Concealing Curtains. It is a black for a 0/4 wall creature with obviously defender, and then it has pay 2 and a black to you pay 2 and a black to transform Concealing Curtains. Activate only as a sorcery. So then it transforms into Revealing Eye. That is a 3/4 eye horror creature with menace. When this creature transforms into Revealing Eye, target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player discards that card, then draws a card.
So it's kind of like a 1 mana 0/4 that you can turn into a black Vendilion Click, kind of?
Or Click, yeah. I guess that would be what it would be. Like, with menace.
Yeah.
Definitely nice. And it only costs 3 to transform it, and those are good stats for 3.
Yeah, so if you have this in your opening hand, 1 mana, and then turn 3 can do right away, and basically you get rid of their best card, and then have a 3/4 menace. It's not bad.
Yeah, definitely good. Good, again, this is a great tempo card, 100%.
Next we have Henrika Manafi. I don't know if I can pronounce that right, but it's 2 in the black for a 1/3 legendary creature vampire. With flying, at the beginning of combat on your turn, you choose one of the following that hasn't been chosen. Each player sacrifices a creature, draw a card and lose a life, or transform it. And it transforms into a 3/4 with flying, death touch, and lifelink vampire that has pay 3. Each creature you control with flying, death touch, and or lifelink gets +1/+0 until end of turn.
Well, it's 1 black, 3 total.
Yeah, didn't I say that?
To clarify, you just said 3.
Oh yeah, 1 black.
So you literally don't have to pay anything to transform her.
Correct.
If you want, just choose to do it.
Yeah, you could pay for it, play this on your pre-main combat, and just immediately transform her if you want. But most of the time, you're probably going to want to play in a scenario where you can make someone sack a creature, draw a card off of it, and then transform it. But
right, yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd want to probably do all 3 because they're all pretty decent, really. So you got an edict. You have, basically the sign in blood, I guess, is what that would be, and then transform it into basically a better Nighthawk.
Yeah, it transforms into a better Nighthawk. Yep.
Like
if you have Nighthawk out, you could give Nighthawk +1/+0.
Exactly. Oh yeah, let's make it bigger because it's already a good creature. Let's make it even worse. This is a great card.
I love this card. This will be, if you have Vampire set, is sweet. This could be interesting as a commander as well, just for the fact that you could play like Flying, Death Touch, or Lifelink Trample in mono black. Could be interesting.
That would be gross. Like, oh my gosh. And not to mention that like you can just keep buffing your board. Like that seems pretty good. Yeah,
especially with Cabal Coffers, just sink all of your mana into buffing everything.
Yeah, I mean, then like if they all have like Death Touch or Lifelink or something like that, it's they're going to be hard to deal with. Next up, we have Voldaren Bloodcaster. It is 1 black for a 2/1 vampire wizard creature with flying that has whenever a Voldaren Bloodcaster or another non-token creature you control dies, create a blood token. It also has whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more blood tokens, you can transform him. Then he transforms into Bloodbat Summoner, who is a 3/3 vampire wizard creature with flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature with flying and haste in addition to its other types.
Yeah, so you're basically going to make a bunch of blood tokens and then transform it and turn all your blood tokens into 2/2 bats with flying.
So here's where blood tokens can be good. We're kind of bashing on them.
Here's a payoff for having blood tokens.
We finally have a payoff. And yeah, if you have a deck centered around blood tokens, this seems pretty decent.
And then next we got Ill-Tempered Loner. So it's a guy that's ill-tempered and he's alone. It's 2
Sounds
red.
like me.
Yeah, right. So it's 2 red for a 3/3 human werewolf. Whenever Ill-Tempered Loner is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target. So if he blocks or is blocked, you can deal that much damage for how much is dealt to him to any target. And then it has pay 1 in a red. It gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So like kind of like fire breathing, except you have to do it in multiples of 2. And then it has Daybound, so that's the day side. And then the night side is a 4/4 werewolf. Whenever a permanent you control is dealt damage, Howlpack Avenger deals that much damage to any target. So then it's, if any of your things are dealt damage, it deals damage to that. And then it has the pay 2, it gets +2/+0. Or pay 1 in a red, it gets +2/+0.
So that's pretty. This is what red wants, dealing damage. I mean, yeah, and it's like avenging damage.
Yeah, exactly. So it's first he's an ill-tempered loner, so he deals damage when he's hurt, and then he becomes the Avenger when he's a werewolf and avenges anything of yours that's dealt damage.
Right. So that seems very good. And that's so that's even just if they're blocking or if they get blocked. Like that would even count. So that seems very, very good.
You could also put this in like a stop hitting yourself type deck where you like deal 1 damage to everything on your board, and then this is going to deal all that damage to.
It's going to deal a crap. It just turns into a bomb.
Yeah, or you could play like, what is it, Blasphemous Act, deals 13 damage to everything, and then all you get to do 13 damage for every one of your creatures.
Yeah, that seems very good. Like, in some fringe cases, this can get pretty insane, I think. Especially if it's on the night side. The night side, especially. Next up, we have Volatile Arsonist. It is 3 red for a 4/4 human werewolf creature with menace and haste. It also has, whenever Volatile Arsonist attacks, it deals 1 damage to each of up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target player, and or up to 1 target planeswalker. And then it has Daybound, so that's the day side. Then the nighttime side is Dire Strain Anarchist. That is a 5/5 werewolf creature with menace and haste that has, whenever Dire Strain Anarchist attacks, it deals 2 damage to each of up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target player, and or up to 1 target planeswalker. So it basically, the night side does 2, the day side does 1.
Yep, and then it gets 1 bigger in PT as well.
Yep. Menace and Haste obviously is nice. For 5, yeah, it's a little more expensive as far as mana cost, but definitely not bad.
Definitely, if you're in a werewolf deck, you're playing this, because like just being able to ping things off.
Pinging is nice. Especially in red. Like in red, that's what you want to do.
Oh, I guess it has to do players or planeswalkers, so you're just going to be pinging players.
Yeah. Well, it can.
Oh no, it's creature as well. You're right.
It's up to 1 creature, up to 1 player, and or up to.
Oh, so you could do all 3.
You can do all 3. Yes.
So you could do hit a creature, ping off a creature, hit a player, and ping a planeswalker.
Yeah, like if they're all 3 are on the board, you can do all 3.
So that's the best scenario.
Yeah, definitely. So that's definitely nice. And then on the night side, you can do 2 to each of them. So, very good for red. I think.
All right, next we got Ava Brook Caretaker, 4 green for a 4/4 human werewolf creature. It's green. It has hexproof. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2+1/+1 counters on another target creature you control. That's the day side. The night side is Hollowhenge Huntmaster, which is a 6/6 creature werewolf with hexproof that gives other permanents you control hexproof. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2+1/+1 counters on every creature you control.
Oh my gosh. This is so good for green. Its night sight is literally a privileged position that also buffs your board.
Right.
And is a 6/6 creature.
Yeah. And its day side.
It also has hexproof.
Yeah, and his day side just puts 2/1 counters on something, which is still good.
Yeah, which is fine. And it's still a hexproof 4/4. So, yeah, 6 definitely is worth that. 100%. This is so good for a green deck. Like, any creature-based green deck is going to want this.
Yeah, the only thing is in Commander, it's kind of hard to flip it to night, but unless you just do nothing.
Yeah, you literally have to do, but that's the hard part. And then you have to try to keep it there too, which is also hard.
Right.
But it's a good card. Let's see. You read that one, right?
Yep.
Okay. So next up, we have Howlpack Piper. It is 3 in a green for a 2/2 human werewolf creature. This spell cannot be countered. It also has pay 1 in a green and tap it. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. If it's a wolf or werewolf, untap Howlpack Piper. Activate only as a sorcery. This is the day side. The nighttime side, it turns into Wildsong Howler. That is a 4/4 werewolf creature that has, whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Wildsong Howler, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Yeah, so I got this in my draft on Arena and in my draft this weekend at the Two-Headed Giant. This card is nuts in a werewolf deck.
I could definitely see that.
Because you're paying 2 to put a creature card into play and then untap it, so you can just keep paying 2 for all of your wolves and werewolves. Put them all into play.
It's literally a Piper for wolves, literally, is what it is.
Yeah, and you could put any creature, just more on tap then. So you could still just Piper anything.
Yeah.
At the end. Like, so you put all your wolves in and then put it in something else. And then the other thing is, because you're piping them in and not casting them, you still cast no spells, so it immediately can transform to night.
Right.
And then get you a card, a creature card from the top 6, and then your opponent will probably make it day again, or if he doesn't, that's fine, whatever. Then on your turn, you cast 2 things, make it day, so that it flips back, and then you can next turn pipe again, and then get another thing when it transforms again. It's crazy. It basically refills your hand, and then pipes stuff into play, and then refills your hand, and then pipes stuff into play. It's nuts.
Like, we all know how good Elvish Piper is. That's a fantastic green card. This is a better version of that for werewolves.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. This card is insanity.
And even if you're not playing a werewolf deck, it's still, for 2, put 1 creature into play, and then get a creature from the top 6 when it flips, so it's still decent.
Oh, this is awesome. 100%.
All right, so next we got Uvenwald Oddity. It's 2 green for a 4/4 beast with trample and haste. And then it has pay 5 green, so 7 mana to transform it. And it transforms into Uvenwald Behemoth, which is an 8/8 creature beast horror with trample and haste. And all other creatures you control get 1/1 and have trample and haste.
Okay, so it's literally a what is that? Sylvan Might, I think is what that is. That gives your shit +1/+1 and trample, and also haste. So that's also that. This is good.
Yeah, I like, because at the worst, it's 4 for a 4/4 trample haste is probably what you're going to do most of the time. And then if you ever just can't do anything and you have 7 mana, like you say you're mana flooded and you have 7 mana sticking around, boom, I'm flipping this. This is now an 8/8, and all my stuff has trample haste.
Yeah, and you just create a bomb, and then your creatures are better too.
Yep.
Like you just overrun your opponent, literally. And they have haste too. Green does not give stuff haste ever. This is so good. Yeah, very, very unusual to see. Very good. And yeah, just the front side is 4 for a 4/4 with trample and haste is fantastic value, I think.
Exactly.
Next up, we have Dorothea, Vengeful Victim. It is white-blue for a 4/4 legendary spirit creature with flying. When Dorothea, Vengeful Victim attacks or blocks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. And then it has Disturb for 1 white-blue. Which when you do that, it turns into Dorothea's Retribution, which is an aura enchantment. That's an enchant creature that says enchanted creature has, whenever this creature attacks, create a 4/4 white spirit creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking. Sacrifice that token at the end of combat. It also has, if it's would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile instead.
Yeah, so this is basically a worse Geist.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the Geist is Saint Trapped.
Yeah, because you play it for 2 as a 4/4, and then you're enchanting something that turns any creature into Geist.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's fine for standard, but Geist is better.
Right, like Geist is better if you can only fit one of these. If you need more than one of these effects in your deck, it's great.
Yeah, and another Geist trigger is always good, like in a Spirit deck or something like that.
Next, we got Edgar, the Charmed Groom. 2 white and a black, so 2 a white and a black, so 4 mana for a 4/4 legendary creature vampire that gives all other vampires you control +1/+1. And then when he dies, you return to the battlefield transformed. And when it's transformed, he goes in his coffin, so it's Edgar's coffin. It's a legendary artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white and black vampire creature token with lifelink. Put a bloodline counter on Edgar Markov's coffin, and then if there are 3 or more counters on it, remove those counters and transform them back into Edgar the Charmed Groom. So basically, he dies, he goes in his coffin for 3 turns, and he comes back again.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, he's basically a persisting 4/4 that buffs your vampires.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The only downside is it's at the beginning of your upkeep, so you do have to wait 3 whole turns to get them back again.
Yeah, it's not each upkeep or something like that. That would be busted. But this is obviously great in a white-black vampire deck. Or even as a commander. I could see it as a commander, too.
Yeah, if you just want a commander that's not going to die and give you value.
Yeah, just value city. Next up, we have Runo Stormkirk. That is a 1 blue-black for a 1/4 legendary vampire cleric creature with flying. When Runo Stormkirk enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If a creature card with mana value 6 or greater is revealed this way, transform Runo Stormkirk. And he transforms into Colossus, Lord of the Deep, which is a 3/5 legendary Kraken horror creature with flying. Oh god, a Kraken with flying. Whenever Colossus, Lord of the Deep attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. If that creature is a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, create 2 of those tokens instead. Oh my.
Yeah, so this is, for me, finally, a legendary creature that can be your commander for a sea monsters deck.
Right, yeah. We've had so many Krakens and Octopus and things like that are all really good. But
yeah, they all cost a boatload of mana. They all
cost 8 or more.
But this guy can cheat them into play and make copies of them.
Yeah, that... Oh, God. I can see so many...
Oh, he can't cheat them into play. I guess he can just make copies of them.
Yeah, he doesn't cheat them. You have to use your omniscience or something like that.
Yeah.
But this seems like a really fun card.
Yeah, it seems fun. It doesn't seem super great because you're going to need top deck manipulation to be able to put something on top of 6 or more to flip him. And then you're going to need another sea monster out for him to copy.
Right. So in a deck that's built around it, I could see this being like a engine that will drive the deck, but it's got to be a specific, like it needs to be like a sea monsters deck, basically, like something with krakens and things in it.
Yep. So it seems very fun. I definitely, if I pull this card, I'm going to build the Sea Monsters deck because
this would be a fun like commander deck for sure.
Yep. All right. So what do you think of all the double face cards?
They are all really good in their own right. Like some obviously are insanely good.
All right. So now we've talked about the whole set. What is your favorite card in the set? You think? Which one do you really want?
Favorite card? Honestly. That Selesnya one. When was that Selesnya one that was like really good for me?
Oh, the wolf guy, Tolizmer or whatever.
Yeah, I think. I think it was it under multicolored?
Yeah, Taurens.
Yeah, he was really good because he just gets huge.
He does just get huge. Yeah. For me, Olivia and Edgar are cool. I did open an Edgar, so now I'm just hoping to get Olivia so that we have all the new vampires. I also really like the Sea Monsters card would be cool as a commander.
Yeah. Oh, also that Piper. That Piper's sick.
The Wolf Piper, yeah. If you have the Werewolves commander deck, that's
I really want to build like a Werewolves deck someday, and that would just be so insane in a deck like that. Well, that's basically it for Crimson Vow, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah, that's it for Crimson Vow. So we'll see you next time, guys.
Sick. Thanks for joining us.